Please listen to part 1 of the story. Have any grandchildren yet? Semicolon. Mr. Vu stuck his chopsticks into the bowl and picked up food for everyone. Eat, on. Eat, my child. Eat a lot and give me a handsome boy. Mr. Vu looked at Thao and smiled affectionately. Wow, you should take care of yourself. I haven't even asked where you were late last night. Hien glared at Mr. Vu and said, Yes, thank you, Dad. Thao looked up at Mr. Vu, smiling widely, then turned to look at her husband. We're planning, Dad. Work has been busy lately, so I haven't thought about having a baby. Minh talked while eating, without even looking at Thao. Thao's eyes looked down at the bowl of rice and said nothing. This guy, it's their responsibility to give birth. It's not you who gives birth. You should worry about them. They're still young and can't give birth at any time. Mrs. Hien saw that and immediately interjected. Ha ha ha, I'm a funny reminder. But your mother is right. Any time is fine. Stop eating before it gets cold. Seeing this, Mr. Vu immediately healed his hometown. Mr. Vu is 60 years old this year, 2 years older than Ms. Hien. He is working as director of a bank branch, and is about to retire. His son, named Duc Minh, does not like working in a banking environment. He is working for a foreign company. Duc Minh is an intelligent person, enthusiastic in his work. His career will definitely advance. On the contrary, when it comes to family, perhaps a work-loving person like him puts his company a little higher than his family's position, but he is a person who loves his wife very much. He understands his wife better than he understands himself. He knows that his wife is at a disadvantage, so Minh pampers her very much and says he lacks nothing materially, but that is not what she needs. As for Thao, her parents at home often call her Thao. She is 28 years old, who lives up to her name. The child was educated. Her parents were from a wealthy family in Quang Ninh province, when she graduated from university. She was invited to become a teacher at a prestigious high school in Hanoi. That's why she couldn't miss this rare opportunity, far away from her parents' family. She decided to settle down in bustling Hanoi. She is a modest, obedient, gentle girl. From the time she was in high school to the time she took the university entrance exam to the time she passed the teacher's position at school, no one could stand on par with Thao in terms of beauty and dignity. Everyone from students to colleagues and friends loves Thao very much. In addition to her good qualities, Thao has a height of 1 meter 68 meters. She possesses a pair of long, straight, beautiful legs as if they were molded, with the same beautiful bust as the female protagonists in Korean stories, and a slim waist, which makes her charming. Before marrying Minh, few people could make her feel moved. The remaining few couldn't be with her for more than a week because everyone had plans for her before they had anything to eat. Others didn't dare to climb the ladder even though they knew she still didn't have a relationship. There is only Minh, a guy 2 years older than her. How fate brought the two of them together by participating in an exhibition of Minh's company. Thao was only 25 years old that year. Thao was attracted to Minh not because of his handsomeness, but because of Minh's not handsome, but because of his enthusiasm for work. Thao stood and looked at Minh for hours while listening to Minh present about his company's technologies. Looking at the way he was devoted and passionate about his work, Thao was attracted to her. Of course, Minh was also captivated by Thao's hot body and beautiful face. The two came together by chance. During their relationship, the two were very happy. Although they met little, they loved a lot. Thao became more and more fascinated with the way Minh spent his time at work. Thao considered it a rare beauty in a man. Even though he didn't pay attention to her, Thao still didn't feel sad. After the night of the company party, the first time Minh and Thao did that, Minh took Thao's most precious thing away, which made the two love each other even more deeply. Minh is a very strange person. If after that time, he could admire the picturesque beauty of grass, he would more or less be envied. But no, after that time, work still attracted him more than his lover. As for the story, the first time she experienced that, for her, she felt it was quite normal, not as terrible as her best friend said. At that time, because of the love she gave herself, sending her fate to the person she loves, she has no regrets. After 2 years of love, Thao and Minh got married. The two Dang families are opposites. Thao is considered a piece of gold at home, while Min's parents also consider Thao like a pearl in the family. The whole family wholeheartedly loved and discussed. Mr. Vu and Mrs. Hien gave the couple an apartment as a dowry. Thao's family gave her and her husband a Mercedes. 1 year after getting married, everything was extremely beautiful. Nothing was missing except a baby. She and Min have been let go for a year now without any signs. Both families, especially Mr. Vu and Mrs. Hien, have mentioned this issue many times but don't know how to answer. Because of her gentle personality, she changed it for herself, so she felt pressured. I feel like I've failed my parents on both sides. She herself is at a good age to have a beautiful child. Sometimes she goes shopping with Min. She often goes to the baby store and looks at it for a long time. She always had a beautiful smile every time she saw baby clothes. But Min was lacking in sophistication when he didn't know his wife really wanted a baby. However, that is not the case. Min understands his wife very well. Min is very sad every time he sees his wife like that. He avoids because Min knows the person who made this mistake is him. 2 years ago, Min noticed many times when he saw that his product was ineffective. This is what makes him worried, because normally the product should be okay. Over here it is as clear as nothing. Especially, for someone like Min who hasn't touched a woman for a long time, it must be plenty and of good quality. Min sneaked out to go to the doctor and the results surprised him. The doctor concluded that he could not have children. From then on, Min fell in love more and more. Before getting married, Min thought a lot about his wife's future. But because he loved her so much, he decided to take the herb. After all, now that scientific technology is advanced, there is still water left to fight. However, recently, Min has felt quite pressured because his parents keep talking about children. After a year of marriage and nothing has happened, the parents are very worried. Knowing that, Min just used the public excuse. Protest. I invite my parents to eat oranges. Thao placed the plate of oranges on the table after everyone had finished eating. Today was a day off and Min went to his parents' house to eat. It's the same every week, because the couple's apartment is not far from Mr. Vu and Hien's house. Yes, thank you Dad. Just leave the bowl there for a while, sit here and eat the orange. Mr. Vu looked at Thao and said, today he woke up late so Thao only put on a small shirt and still wore pajamas to go to her parents-in-law's house. Mr. Vu and Mrs. Hien have a laid-back personality so Thao did not worry about dressing. On the contrary, Mr. Vu and Mrs. Hien still like it. Seeing her dressed like this makes her feel like she is living in her own house. They have only Min as their only child. Even though she wanted him to live with her, because she was a psychological mother, Mrs. Hien told Mr. Vu to buy them an apartment to live separately at first, so it wouldn't matter if they moved in later. Late. Mom and Dad, please eat. I'll clean up and come out to eat after a while. Thao smiled and cleared away the rattling pile of bowls. Her bust in her pajamas made Mr. Vu sit and floss his mouth, his legs crossed, clearly showing his loss of composure. Because right in front of him was the image of his beautiful daughter-in-law, not the old, wrinkled Mrs. Hien. Leave it there so I can wash it quickly and then go out to rest. Having said that, Mrs. Hien also stood up to prepare the herbs. Okay Mom, let me clean it up for you. Thao smiled and said, actually she also liked it. But what daughter-in-law would let her mother-in-law have to do it? This girl is not polite. Mrs. Hien glared at her and then grabbed Thao's waist. Thao retreated because she was sad. Mother and daughter laughed and talked while washing dishes together. Mr. Vu sat at the table eating oranges. When he saw Min go out, he immediately turned his head to look at his daughter-in-law's beautifully curved butt. She had long legs so her pants only reached her ankles. It was still about 5 centimeters away from her ankle, revealing her pearly white feet without the slightest callus. If you can't give birth with a third round like this, it's absurd. Mr. Vu thought to himself, then he looked at Ms. Hien's butt, which was covered with loose fabric, making him squint his eyes and frown. He glanced left and right at his wife and daughter-in-law. On the one hand, the 28-year-old woman is a period of youthful bloom. Looking at it, I just want to go up to the clouds, One side is shabby. I'm bored and don't want to talk. I can only sigh. Hey Mr. Vu. Why did you come home so late yesterday? Mrs. Hien suddenly asked. Well, yesterday I had to see my partner off to the airport. Mr. Vu was busy looking at his daughter-in-law when he was startled. I'm so drunk. Next time I'll let the staff bring it to me. Why would the director bring it? Next time I'll be late again. Don't blame me. Hi. Mom is too strict with Dad. Maybe this is an important partner, so Dad personally sent him off to the airport. How about Mom? Thao stood next to her and smiled. This guy. He's so creepy. He's probably with some girls. Mrs. Hien pouted. This woman. Why do you say that in front of the grass? Don't listen to her. Mr. Vu's voice was angry. But he was happy because his daughter-in-law just spoke for him. She was so delicate. Hi. It's okay. Seeing your parents so happy. It doesn't make up for your parents. No one said anything to anyone. My in-laws are also very affectionate. They don't talk much but do a lot. They don't make up for anyone. Mrs. Hien pouted. Then I lost to her. Then I will return early. Mr. Vu had to give up and his wife ran to the living room to sit. He wiped his sweat with his hands and thought about last night. Thank you, Uncle, for personally taking me home like this. Sitting next to Mr. Vu's driver's seat was a girl about the same age as his daughter-in-law. I saw that after the party, everyone went home, each child waiting for a friend or something. Mr. Vu glanced sideways and saw the white legs of a girl named Trang. Trang is a new employee at his bank. Yes, I waited for my husband to pick me up, but he was already with his friends. Luckily, I have an uncle. Trang looked at Mr. Vu and smiled. Although her face was not as beautiful as his daughter-in-law's, Trang had skin as white as grass. Oh, you have a husband, and how old are you this year? Mr. Vu asked questions and drove Trang around everywhere. I'm 28 this year. I thought you were the one reviewing my profile. Trang looked at Mr. Vu in surprise. I only review profiles of pretty girls, he. Mr. Vu intentionally revealed his nature. Please pay attention, so you don't think I'm pretty. Trang lightly slapped Mr. Vu's hand pretending to be angry. They had only known each other for 2 weeks but Trang seemed very close to Mr. Vu. At the bank, Mr. Vu is old enough to be the uncle of many people, but Mr. Vu only allows employees to call him uncle, so he can salvage something, because he hates being considered old. I'm kidding, you're very pretty. After Mr. Vu said that sentence, the whole car suddenly fell silent. So where did you work before joining the bank? Feeling embarrassed, Mr. Vu immediately asked. With his experience as a director, he had no shortage of questions for Trang. Yes, I work in a bank in Than Xuan district but I don't get along with the director there, Trang confided. Oh, why doesn't it suit you? Mr. Vu was also curious because Trang had just mentioned someone at the same level as him. He is very difficult to approach, Trang said softly. Oh my god, it turns out that way, but you're also very flirtatious. Mr. Vu immediately fenced in front and welcomed the rear. I don't see that. I see you as gentle, easy to approach, sociable with everyone. Trang sobbed praising Mr. Vu. You're good at speaking the truth. Ring. Yes, hello. Trang picked up the phone. Mr. Vu glanced down at Trang's milk-colored dress. Her legs were quite white, but her bust didn't look like his family's. Leave him alone. I don't care. Having finished speaking, Trang turned off the phone. What's wrong, kid? Mr. Vu asked. My husband. What's wrong? Is it convenient for you to take me home? It's okay. We're separated. As she spoke, Trang looked out the window. Really? I didn't participate in the story of my niece and my wife, but this child. If you are not compatible with that person, there are many ways to solve it. The best way is to break up to bring happiness to each other, you understand. Mr. Vu comforted, probably with normal words. But the sound coming from a director's position is also different from ordinary people, which makes Trang easier to comfort. How many people has he loved? So many people. It's like getting rid of you is a burden. Why is it a burden? A beautiful person like you should be a blessing. Hi, please pay attention. Trang smiled. Ha ha. Mr. Vu laughed. Uncle Vu. Suddenly Trang spoke softly. Why, dear, we're almost at your house. I just texted my mom, tonight. I sleep at my friend's house. Trang glanced at Mr. Vu and smiled. Because before coming to work, she had heard a lot of rumors about Mr. Vu, and didn't know what her intentions were. So where is your friend's house? Mr. Vu feels fortune is coming. Actually, can you just keep taking me around like this all night? Trang turned to face the door and did not look at Mr. Vu. Mr. Vu remained silent and said nothing. He knew this girl had plans for him. She probably wanted to get promoted. If so, it's just like other normal girls. But if fat is offered to a cat's mouth, why not move forward? Okay, tomorrow is also a day off, so are you hungry? Mr. Vu said and stared at Trang. I just feel tired. Trang closed her eyes. Mr. Vu knew that the fish had entered the net. He chuckled. Mr. Vu is proud of his position. At the bank, he is a talented boss. Assertive, however. He was also given a unique nickname by several department heads. Although everyone knew many things about Mr. Vu, no one dared to say a word, because the salary Mr. Vu paid them was higher than the average salary. Other goods are nearly double. Because of his talent, even though he is only a branch manager, every time Mr. Vu proposes something to the corporation, it is approved. That is also Mr. Vu's strength. So he can call rain and wind, and cover the whole sky with one hand. I don't know how many horns Hien has been given by Mr. Vu. Or we can go a few more rounds. Then I have a friend who works in a hotel. I'll take you there to rest. Take a rest. I drank a lot today. Mr. Vu is not afraid to raise sensitive issues, because with his experience he knows everything. Trang didn't say anything. The green light signaled. Mr. Vu immediately drove straight to the hotel and didn't go around anymore. An international standard 5-star hotel, Mr. Vu went straight to the basement and gave Trang a key. Go and rest. Mr. Vu smiled and said, his old face at the age of 60 clearly showing the two words, Khan. Where did you rent the room? Trang held the room key in surprise. Perhaps he had rented the room before. Well, this is my friend's hotel. I don't always have the key. Mr. Vu chuckled. This is the key he rented here on a monthly basis. I don't know how many girls have gone to that room. Yes. Trang opened the car door slowly. Go rest. I'll be home. Mr. Vu smiled and said. Yes. Trang's eyes opened wide. She didn't know what to say. She was just surprised because Mr. Vu didn't ask to go to the room. Ah, hey Trang. Trang walked a few steps to the elevator when she heard Mr. Vu's voice calling out. Knew it. Trang thought to herself, rolling her eyes and smiling. When she turned around and saw that Mr. Vu had parked his car neatly, she was even more amused. How great. Let me go to the bathroom, please. Mr. Vu proudly ran over with a fat belly, looking at Mr. Vu who was a bit shorter than Trang because Trang was wearing clogs. Yes, it's true that men's writing is common. Trang chuckled and thought. Then she and Mr. Vu went into the elevator. As soon as he entered Mr. Vu's room, he saw Trang rush into the toilet. A moment later, he heard the sound of running water. She was probably taking a bath. Mr. Vu chuckled. If they're proactive like this, they're probably screwed. Clack. The sound of the bathroom door. Oh, I'm not home yet. Trang stepped out and asked a very innocent question. She wrapped a white bathrobe around her body. I didn't have time to go to the bathroom and you went into the room. Mr. Vu laughed. Oh, I forgot. Trang passed by Mr. Vu. A waft of fragrance made Mr. Vu feel more emotional. Mr. Vu went into the bathroom. He did not go to the bathroom but looked at his body. When he stepped out, he was wearing only shorts, his fat belly bouncing with his steps. Oh Uncle Vu. Why are you like that? Trang pretended to be surprised, but she chuckled inside. It's true that men are the same, directors and ordinary people are just the same. But when she glanced down, she turned from a chuckle to fear. In her entire life, she had never seen anyone squeeze such a big and long sweet potato in the pocket of her shorts. Oh Uncle. Confused by Trang, normally Mr. Vu's chickens would not say anything and automatically offer them, but today Trang asked a question that made it difficult for Mr. Vu to answer. I thought you were going to the bathroom, then you come back. Even though she said that, Trang was still fascinated by the sweet potato that Mr. Vu had worked so hard to cultivate, but her intention today was not to come here with this 60-year-old old man, previously because she was solicited by the director. Old bank, so she quit her job. Today, Trang just wanted to shepherd. It's beyond words. Trang thought she was the one who planned this trick first. Actually, she just wanted to play with Mr. Vu a little. She kicked him to get some fortune from him. But unexpectedly, everything happened unexpectedly, like a chicken with its head stuck in a basket. Suddenly Mr. Vu stood up and looked at Trang. Trang was very scared when she saw Mr. Vu's eyes. She lowered her face to avoid it. Mr. Vu immediately realized that this was like a trap, so he decided to suppress his emotions inside. You must not tell anyone about this. Go to sleep. After speaking, Mr. Vu turned and went to the bathroom. After a while he returned and went out. Trang lay down and breathed a sigh of relief. She didn't know if this was a good start for her or not. She didn't feel right at all. She just teased the head of her job. If she agrees today, perhaps Mr. Vu will only consider her a cheap commodity, but if not,